I'm super excited to bring to you the AIA Austin Homes Tour for 2025. It's on the weekend of the 25th and the 26th of October. If you're coming to Austin or you live in Austin and you love architecture, this is a tour you shouldn't miss. Now, if you want to listen to this series on the podcast or watch it on YouTube, please do, and understand that I have each of the architects presenting the homes that they have on the tour this year. So there's 10 architects, plus I have Rob Gomez and Ingrid Spencer, who are also commenting on these homes. Now, Rob has photographed every one of them, and Ingrid is the director of the AIA Austin. These two are super knowledgeable and add really beautiful insight to what these homes are about from observers who aren't architects. So please tune in, listen, ask comments, and book a ticket and come on tour and see each of these homes over the weekend, 25th, 26th of October 2025. Look forward to seeing you there. We have an absolute treat with Govalle Homestead, and this is a collaboration between Mari and Matt. And now Mari is Russ Design and Matt is Drophouse. And you can see what's going to come out of this. It's really beautiful work. It's an incredible living situation as well. And so I want to jump in first and just, Mari, tell us, who are you and how did you end up in this position of designing these places?
Yeah, my name is Mari Russ. I am from New Orleans and I grew up always knowing that I wanted to be an architect somehow. And so I went to LSU, and it's actually where I met Matt, our first year of school. And we graduated together. And after school, we actually moved to India together and spent a year there teaching first year studio students in Punjab in India. After that, I moved back to, we both actually moved again to Austin. We like to follow each other. And I started
Is that
working
a
for
good
just a
thing?
bunch of small.
Is that a good thing that you like to follow?
No, what do you think? Yeah. Um, I started working for just a bunch of small boutique firms through Austin, mostly like residential, high-end residential work, but eventually found myself working with Matt at Drophouse, where we design built his home. So it kind of leads naturally into Matt's background too.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, Matt, take us on your story.
Yeah, well, she took half of it, right? So
Yeah.
graduate school, moved in. But yeah, I started Drophouse, I think, just out of a desire to, stay in architecture, which is a profession that and realm that I love. But first, the initial desire to sort of learn how things are built, how things are fabricated. And then honestly, I had this sort of thought that I would get back into architecture after I sort of did a brief stint of learning how things were built, but never left. And I've just been doing the work at Drophouse since. But this has been a blessing. I think everyone sort of dreams, especially in the architecture field, of like one day I can design and build my own home. And so, yeah, I got to do that. And luckily, Mari, who I've known for, 20 years now,
Yeah.
someone who we've done a lot of work together and known each other well, that we're able to do this together. So it was a great collaboration, or opportunity to partner.
You thought you'd test the 20-year piece of relationship.
We made it. We've made it. We haven't made it with this podcast. We've made it.
That's awesome. I love the fact that you went to India together and taught people as well. That's so cool. That's so cool.
Yeah. Are Christian there?
Oh,
Yeah.
that's also where I've met my partner, Christian.
Yeah,
business
okay.
partner, Christian.
Yeah. Oh, you met him in India as well. So Drophouse is combined from there as well. Yeah, wow.
Well, many things started in India.
That's crazy. That's so interesting. One of the things, like coming from that architectural background, but then being in the manufacturing, construction side of it, how valuable do you think that is when it comes to having somebody work with you on the design?
Is that a question for me or for Mari?
Oh, both of you can answer it if you want, because it means that you've both got really. Well, I'm going to let you answer.
Yeah, so I would say that in my experience, my favorite architects to work with, because we're sort of a subcontractor or we see
Yeah.
ourselves as, sort of niche partners for architects to help realize their concepts. Um, the ones that I sort of look to as mentors I would say envision myself as is the ones who really know construction well. And so a lot of them sometimes, were part of a design build or they, did a brief stint as a general contractor. And so I just think the way that you detail is really, is educated by your experience in construction. And so I think we all respect, whether we know it consciously or not, we respect sort of utility, that things make sense, that things are logical, that things aren't done out of,
Mm.
I think especially in modern homes, it's like you don't just decorate it to decorate it. They're decorated by their sense of utility. And I think those people who understand construction maybe, do that best.
Yeah. Yeah, I would 100%
Absolutely.
agree with what you're saying there, without a doubt. Murray, what's your take?
Yeah, I was just going to touch on my experience working at Drophouse
Mhm.
versus at an architecture firm. A lot of the times, some of these architects, like Matt was talking about, actually know what these details mean because they've watched it come together in the field. And sometimes when you're just, fresh out of college and you're just picking up red lines, you don't actually know what this means. So when I went to work for Drophouse, whole new experience of like what construction actually is and like that eighth of an inch actually matters because it's going
Yeah,
to be traced along this whole path that you have to pay attention to all of those little pieces. And so it's a whole new appreciation of what architecture and construction are.
yeah, I love that. And the piece that you said there, Matt, about, you essentially a partner, a support partner for architectural firms with it. Of course, you guys deliver work at this very high precision level of architecture, and your eighth of an inch is a big piece. When it's delivered at precision. It's like, if zero is meant to be zero, an eighth of an inch is way over. But just getting that together with the benefit of you both knowing construction and the delivery to other people of that fineness of detail, that piece. I think that's what makes absolute magic, and it sets a very high expectation for you both on what you do, which I think is really lovely. So Govalle Homestead, now this is on the tour. Do you want to start out and just tell me the brief, how it all came together? So, I always think people walk into a home and they go, "Oh wow, oh, I'd never have that," or, "Oh, I'd love that," or whatever. But they've got no idea of why it was asked for or what somebody was looking for. I think of crazy stuff we see in design. Somebody wants that, it might have been the key point of the brief, and everything else came from it. So that whole thing, tell me the brief on this project.
I'm gonna let Matt's the client. I'm gonna let him tell the story. So design build
I
for
reckon
kids.
Matt should critique you telling this story. See how close you got to the brief. No, go take it away, Matt.
I'll give the big picture and then maybe I'll let her speak to the architectural,
Yeah.
points. But the brief for us was that you know, I grew up next to family. I feel like that's a super important thing. Me and my wife have two young children, and I'm from New Orleans, so I don't have family here in Austin, but my wife's parents lived here in Austin. And so as we started to have kids, a family, they were a couple of miles away. We were spending time together every day. And so that's just sort of built upon itself where, hey, we were going to need to maybe move outside of the, inner workings of Austin to be able to afford a home that, is the size we need for our growing family. And so, and they were living in a condo downtown. And we said, well, what if we decided to go on into a property together, right? So sort of this collection of resources that then actually makes it financially available to maybe do something together. And so I looked for a property on the east side of Austin. We found one in 2018. And East Side has just always been part of my heart ever since I moved to Austin.
It's
It's
got
got all
a
these characteristics.
it's got a great vibe. East side of Austin. It's lovely.
So we knew we wanted to stay there, and it was also, maybe a place that we could afford to
Yeah.
purchase, right?
Yeah, well, it's a thing together there, isn't it? It's like
Yeah.
cost benefit and value that you get from it.
But it's where we would want to be anyway, and just so happens that we can also afford to be there. So great, win-win. And so finding a property, we found one that had a 1938 house that was still owned by the original owners. And so, and no one had been living in it for a while. It was pretty derelict. And so we made an offer, got that house, and started trying to make plans on, well, how do we move into this? And so, but what one thing that we sort of knew, and you know, I'm not a historical conservationist or preservationist, but like professionally at least, but like I do. In context is huge to me, and so I love this neighborhood because it has local farms and it has these houses that were built around the same time as these farms were established, and so I wanted to keep the architecture or the street front, right, of this house on this property so that we weren't like what's happening a lot in East Austin is, a tear down and sort of and a build, which, to each their own, but it was important for us to sort of preserve the character. And so how do we get from preserving the front house, modernizing it to a lifestyle for my in-laws, and then building a complementary house for me and my wife and two kids that also shares the lifestyle that we want, that we wanted a pool, we cook a lot, we want an outdoor kitchen, like we spend a lot of time at home but celebrating away at home. So how do we sort of design and build an environment that allows us to do that pretty naturally? So I'll let Mara sort of dig into
It's so
detail
cool.
on
It's really cool. I think it's a really important backstory to understand that brief because it's not your standard brief.
Right.
It's bigger than that. I love the fact that you wanted to hold on to the honesty of the original neighborhood and those farms and stuff as well, and keep that storyline.
I think that's really one of the biggest parts about the front house. When we get to the pictures, I'll get to show you what original walls are still existing now. But that front house, it really, it's a wide street and it is a very busy street. There's an elementary school across the way. So people are walking up and down the street all the time. And so I think part of wanting to keep that original facade it was keeping the scale of the front house instead of automatically turning this lot into two duplexes side by side or back to back with a giant driveway and no relationship back to the neighborhood, no relationship back to the context. So I think that was one thing that Matt really wanted to hit home on. And I think, we really did. The front facade, that front face is exactly the same proportions and doors and windows as it was originally.
What year was it? What year was the original house? Did you say?
1938.
1838. Wow. Okay, cool.
1919.
Oh,
No, no, yeah.
1938. Okay, that's it.
Yeah.
Well, it's still old, but yeah, 1838.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be quite
Yeah.
the house, yeah.
Yeah.
But in that regard, we took the idea to respect the original, and so we offset the new and the addition for the front house. So the front facade exists as it was, and then we took our addition and we stepped it back and to the side. So it's a little bit further in the back, and it becomes its own element to the facade. Again, it's within scale of the walking on the sidewalk and walking across the street. So we really took that all the way through the project. But if you walk down the driveway to the back house, or if you're standing on the street looking back, the back house kind of disappears because that was another reason why we really love this site is because of the tree canopy, which a little bit did limit us where we could go with our critical root zones, but
It is Austin.
right, but it became really important because that's the way the house naturally fell into the landscape. Again, it's respecting where we are in the property and really trying to hold on to these individual characteristics that exist and not just trying to whitewash or like give me a blank canvas. So
Okay.
I feel like we're two really big things for that. But
Yeah, I love it.
yeah.
Okay, well, so we're on tour, and I'm going to let you share some photos as well. But like, we're on tour, so goodness knows where we're going to park. But anyway, we're going to park somewhere. We're going to come up up the footpath, and we're going to spot. What are we going to see when we come up the footpath? Are you going to show that first, or like if
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
arriving, what am I going to observe? What should I pause and go? Oh, hold on. Look, I
Okay.
know already, but you're going to share.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm going to share that screen. Oops, not that. So yeah, so this is basically from the front yard inside of the fence. But the white mass on the left-hand side is the front house. So that outside corner in front is are the two original walls. There's another wall on the opposite side that's actually original, but where you see this tall, clear story
Yep.
window, that is the addition. And so that addition steps back, becomes its own thing, and respects the
Yeah.
original.
It's a
Yeah,
taller
cool.
elevation, but even the overhang we tightened up to be a modern sort of. So
Mhm.
it's this subtle clues of, the original overhang was what on the left, which is 18 inches, and then we went to 6 inches on this taller elevation, right? So just modernizing some of the same architectural details, which is kind of like throughout, what we did around the house. But yeah, trying to
I
respect.
I love
Yeah.
these first cues to, like if you stopped in the street, you're looking at this home, you stand back and pick up on these little points. If you're not watching on YouTube, but you're listening, just listening again, if you're standing at the front of the house on the right hand side, look at the taller section, and that's where Matt's just saying about these subtle pieces of just slightly more modernized from the original home. Yeah, go guys, go.
Yeah, and in the background, again, the front house is the original house is in the foreground, but in the background, the decision to use Corten steel, which rusts and patinas over time, really allows that bigger addition to sort of fade into the background and not scream, it's me, look at me."
Mm.
Uh, it just becomes part of the landscape.
I often see people walking, in front of our front gate and they look at the front house and they'll pay a compliment, but then they'll sometimes not even realize that there is a back house.
Exactly. I can
Oh, yeah,
imagine it. Yeah.
kitchen sink space. Yeah. And then, I think the one other part about the material choice, it's that Corten, it's sort of this brown orange, which, I think it helps not pop out like Maury was saying. But then the other thing I think we wanted to you had a choice of how you design the back house, whether it sort of matches similar details to the front house. But because we were, trying to preserve this original identity, it would sort of cheapen that effect if we went with the same sort of architecture in the back. And so they're completely different architectural styles. But I wanted to give a little bit of a reference to the idea of time, or that something has been here,
Mhm.
that this was an original house. And so I felt like let's do that through material on the new house. And so there's patinaed, grayed out natural wood as part of the cladding on the back house. And then there's the Corten, which obviously, weatherizes pretty quickly and shows a sense of age. And so this is also sort of maybe a little intellectual, sort of.
I
Yeah.
I think it's lovely. I think that the fact that it plays to that story of time, and even the fact of how you live in the homes, with your in-laws in the front and you guys in the back, it tells the story of time as well. So it's like a book on the site, it's got all these different layers of what its story is. I love it. It's cool. And I say people, do your in-laws, do they sit outside there? And is it a neighborhood where people walk and talk and call over
Totally.
the fence to people? Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that about Austin, that it has these neighborhoods where it's very, people will sit on their front porch and talk to the neighbors as they come by and stuff. It's
And as
great.
long as the bugs and the sun allow you to stay out there.
Yeah.
It is Austin. What do you got next?
Next, we can go through, let's see.
Take us through some of the details. So when we come on the tour, do we get to go through the front house first and then the back house, or do we get to go down the side? How will we do it?
Yeah, so I think we'll be able to walk into the front porch of the front house, kind of up those steps that are in this picture.
Nope.
And
Nope. Sorry.
That's okay. I'm just you sort it. I'm just making a timer note. We'll just edit this little piece. You find where you need to be. Did you charge your turn up yet?
There we go.
yes,
Okay,
started.
Yes, it
cool.
did.
Okay, cool.
Okay. So we want to stay in the front house, right?
Yeah, I think that's
Or
going to be people's first thing. So are they going to be able to come through there and then walk through the back, or if the front house is busy, come down the driveway and go to the back?
so let me reshare. Go
Okay.
ahead.
No, don't apologize. It's all fine. I'll do a clap and then we can start talking.
Good.
Okay, so go to the bathroom.
All right, ready when you are.
Okay.
So I think there's options of walking up the front steps of the front house and walking through, but it's kind of maybe choose your own adventure because if you walk along the side of the house towards the back house, I think it helps maybe start to set up the story or the narrative
Mm.
of how the architecture starts to relate to each other. And so this is a view, which is the backyard. You're looking sideways at the front house and the back house, and so you can see in the front house the living spaces are actually pushed towards the backyard, right, instead of looking streetward. So it starts to focus as this communal space between the two houses, which gives this importance. That's our meeting ground. That's where we cook and we have the fire and the pool. And even the tall window there, there's a two-story window on the back house,
Yep.
um, which is the staircase. If I'm at my kitchen counter, prepping dinner, I can look through and see the pool deck, and I can look and see if someone's watching TV or standing in the kitchen on the front house, and vice versa. They can see me sort of prepping. And then you walk to the staircase, and that's exactly where the window is. So we often, somebody's in the pool, you tap on the window and, make a signal about, 10 minutes to dinner, and then if you go up
I
the
love it.
switch stairs, and so, which is right next to our bedroom exits, and then you can sort of see into the front house, into the pool as well. So there's these pieces of architecture that relate to each other, but they're all focusing on this common space. And so I think this helps tell the story a little bit more of how the project is set up.
Well, it's a really interesting story of privacy and community at the same time, isn't it? It's both, and having that separation, but also this common ground. I think it's fabulous. It's like, and I love the fact, like you said, you can kind of glance out the window, tap on your watch, and go, kids in here. You've got 10 minutes or whatever it is. And then also everybody's kind of got their eyes on the community. Yeah, it's beautiful. So if you come down the side, is this where you would arrive? You'd arrive into this space, and then where
Correct.
would you go from here? You could choose either house, I suppose, to go into.
Yeah, so either house you could walk into. I would probably go through the front house just because it's, the original one. So you get to see a little bit of what we were working with. This is that bathroom on the front facade where you have that tall, clear story window. Very modern. The owner loves pink. So we brought that through in here. There's just a lot of really efficient modern details that we added into this house
So,
that related to the back house and that detailing. So it's on the facade, it recognizes and respects what that context was, but it leans towards the new owners and what their needs are
so
in
go
the
back
space.
to that other bathroom that you just had before. Yeah, this one.
This, okay.
Yeah, yeah, this one here. So
That's a
sorry.
black and stainless steel. So I was going to say the countertop is whatever I sort of starts to ask about, but it's a black and stainless steel countertop made by Drophouse. So yeah, I think that's what was a nice opportunity. You'll see a lot of steel details as you walk through the house, but
Bringing stuff
yeah,
home
this
in your
has steel.
lunchbox from work. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, things like this, like where, Drophouse's work shows up within the architecture and, the touch and feel of it as well, just those moments that you create through materiality and then also through that commonality of the whole structures. I think are really fabulous. Yeah, it's a dramatic photo. And I imagine but it's got real drama to it, like that. The pink bathroom's absolutely beautiful. Like it's stunning the way the light falls in through the top, the way all the tiles shift in tone. And then you look at this and it's really different. But to think that these are in contextually on the same piece of land,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
really cool. Yeah.
Even within the same 800 square foot house.
Yes.
Yeah, right. There you go.
I have to say that interestingly, you know, Matt is the client, but he's also the leader of the team, but he also has his in-laws that have ideas and opinions of their own. However, it was really nice to work with them because if you told them something was a good idea, they believed you. And so something like this bathroom, Matt and I talked this through, and we really love this dramatic detail, like you said,
Yeah.
of this higher than normal wainscot tile and this rounded steel vanity. We just loved what that did. And as soon as we put it in, they're obsessed with it and they love it as well. So it was nice to work with somebody who just trusts you.
I was about
Yeah.
to say it harks to your trustworthiness, Matt, that they didn't go, oh yeah, well maybe.
Yeah, I
We'll
mean,
see.
I can imagine what it was like for Mari, because as you said, like I at least got the benefit to be sort of the final decision, if I
Yeah.
really wanted it to be. And so I'm sure there were many instances where, she just got to play the balance between, listening to there's many parts of this client team. I think my wife and my kids were maybe the most quiet, but between me and my in-laws, there was just a lot to sort of balance or negotiate. So, I think she had the tougher job there. But yeah, I think I know Mari's strengths, or at least I think I know most of
Well,
Mari's strengths.
I would
I've
say
known her.
clearly you did have a good handle on them.
Yeah, and so moments when the trust in question, and I think sometimes I just need to have that sort of devil's advocate conversation, and she helped guide me on a ton of decisions, to
Well,
help navigate.
it,
It
it,
worked.
it's perfect. It's like, yeah, that's what it should be, shouldn't it? And I mean, it's that ability to work with multiple clients in the same space, but it's actually personal. It's not like we're building a commercial building. This is actually where you live. If it was
Right.
commercial, you go, oh yeah, well whatever. There'll be a common sense, economic piece to it or something. But this is actually where you touch, feel, live. And it embraces you. You embrace it. It betters your life every day. So, yeah.
I think one of the last part I'll add to that is, we come from a custom fabrication background and shop. And so sometimes maybe we have too many options, right? Because it's like, oh, we make the countertop.
Yeah.
So, sometimes it's like, should we make that decision or should we think about it a little bit longer? Because we might, so anyway.
We might come up with something else. Yeah. Mari, you still did well with it. Okay, what else you got?
Some
This is
battles were hard fought and some were won. So
yeah. I think that's part of the journey though, isn't it? Like as you're putting context around emotions and that context actually becomes built structure. And really what you're doing is trying to make the architecture and the interior respond to those emotions. That's the game.
yeah.
And here it's been done so beautifully. And I think having the old house and the new house, and they're very different from each other, allows a whole nother level of those conversations to happen. We might not do it here, but we could do it here, or that kind of, I wouldn't want to live with that, but you would. Great, we can do these pieces this way.
Yeah, and we share those spaces too, right? So
Yeah.
to your point, if you gave up on one idea, but you said, "Oh, well, I have it there, and I'm there every day too." So yeah, there's some variety that we were able to sort of incorporate in
Yeah,
different.
absolutely incredible. Like really, really cool. Okay, what else we got?
Let's go through the back house. I'm
Mm.
just going to go really fast through these. But you enter the back house and you are, oops, sorry, yep. This is the entry to the back house from this driveway coming down, processing through the site. You can really get the sense of how the canopy wraps around the
Hmm.
roof line there and really hugs it. You can see that big tree trunk there to the right, but there's just another big one behind it and then on the other side as well. But yeah, so you can see how that wraps you into the space and really starts to envelop you in. And once you do walk in, that space is still compressed. You're still in this smaller little cocoon space. The front entry is just to the right of that opening in the wall where the light is coming
Hmm.
from the floor.
I'll also just say it was a very conscious choice not to have the front door facing the street as well, right?
Yes.
Just more of that trying to make that back house blend in. You sort of not acknowledge it was there was a decision to sort of remove that or have you turn, in your entrance and not
Mhm.
have a front.
I like that as well. I think it creates a little bit of adventure and mystery, and it's
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's always
And
interesting.
Yeah.
And so you're brought into this space. You're surrounded by still natural materials, this beautiful
Mm.
white oak. But once you move and process through the space, you can kind of see how it opens up to itself. And so on one side, you have the living room where they spend lots of nights, cuddled up on that giant couch, or where they spend even more of their nights in the kitchen, which is to the left. And they have a large bar where they can sit the kids there, but the adults can sit on a big dining table and bench, which you will have to see on the tour because I don't have that photo.
Ah, perfect. Okay. So don't miss that. Okay, love it.
But
Um,
even in informal kind of this stairs where Matt was talking about where you can see people from the kitchen, that connection to the kitchen is just right behind us. But this informal area of where the kids can just plop down and read a book or do some homework really fast while they're waiting for dinner to be ready, or while they're waiting for their grandma in the front to wave at them to come over from that window. So it's all of these points of connections and these informal moments that I think make this house special.
yeah, without a doubt. Without a doubt. It from what I'm seeing so far, and I can't wait to be in it, it looks like it's got this lovely ease of living. Like it's, I don't know, you just, I want to say fall into it, like it takes you on bits of journeys. There's light coming down from on top. There's, vistas, and then there's these moments of pause within the house, like this piece
Yeah.
beside the stairs.
I think some of the comments that I get from visitors is, the house is 1,800 square feet.
Right.
It's three
Very efficient.
it's 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths. So I think people say, man, the house feels a lot bigger than what you
Yeah.
said the square feet was, and like everything just has its place and it's enough but it feels big. And I think it's a somewhat open floor plan, but also it's like the living room and the kitchen are two different rooms, but you kind of saw that hallway in between, and
Hmm.
I think so. It provides a lot of different distinct spaces. So even when you go up that staircase, you're in this flex room, which it has that high ceiling. This is that flex space, which is just going to be able to adapt for the kids, over the years. But I would also say, there's a lot of skylights in this back house because we
Yeah.
didn't want to put we wanted that core 10 to be the majority of the field. And so there are select windows on that front facade, but a lot of the natural or a lot of the lights coming in from from the ceiling. And we really don't have to turn on lights for the most part in most of these spaces during the day. So
That's awesome. Yeah. It has that feeling of, I didn't realize it was 1,800 square feet, but it has that feeling of being generous enough, like that it's really comfortable and there's room in it. But the way the light falls in from the top, and when I was talking to Rob, the photographer, he said, yeah, it was amazing to photograph for those reasons as well. The way the light came into the spaces and just how that feels when you're in a home. I mean, yeah, it's fabulous. And the things like putting the flex space in as well. So the front house is how many bedrooms?
It's just one bedroom.
So one bedroom in the front house, and
One
then
bedroom, 1.5 baths. Yes,
okay,
correct.
cool. And then you've got three bedrooms back here. So the front house really became the ADU. It's like
More or less, yes,
more or
correct.
less, doesn't it? Yeah, that's pretty interesting. Okay, cool.
it has a living room, laundry room, a kitchen, an office, powder bath, bedroom, closet, and master bath.
I think, use of space and getting that all to happen with the cost of building, with the infill that we're doing, like lots and lots of cities globally, making infill, better use of resources, more density. But then we've come to demand so much more separation and privacy. But then you're able to do this and create this family compound with the separation and the privacy, but also all the community. I think it's magical. It's great. Does the family love the house, or do they look at you sometimes, Matt, and go, "Yeah, well, Matt got this, but yeah, what's the go
Yeah.
there?"
So my wife loves it. My in-laws, her parents, they love it. Obviously, I think they're, hey, Matt, when are we going to get this done? Or, can we add this? I would say the one funny thing is I have a 6-year-old daughter and a 4-year-old son, and my 4-year-old son's always telling me, that he loves the house, daddy, and he just showers me with compliments. But my daughter, she'll look at the rusted steel and she goes, when are we going to paint that? So,
I love that. I love that. There's
yeah.
got to be one, doesn't there? Yeah. Is that ever going to be
She's a
painted?
little harder she's a
Yeah.
little harder to get approval from. Yeah.
Oh, that's fabulous. It's really, really cool. If there was any like secret hidden surprises for people when they come on tour, where's a couple of spots that you would say, hey, stop here, look here, do this? Certainly from the front street and looking at those, the length of the eaves or the overhangs on the roof, and just get a sense of how one modernizes the other and just shifts there. You wouldn't notice it unless you stop to look for it. But psychologically, you know there's something that's shifted. Is there any
Yeah.
others that you go, oh yeah, you should really do this? Like, should I be lying on the floor there and I look up through that skylight and I see what?
Well, I'll say with any good project, maybe in Austin, there's a little trouble or permitting takes a little bit longer, but a lot of the moves on the back house, specifically the stair and kind of the storage around the stair, are responding specifically to not only our impervious cover and our FAR, our floor to area ratio, but also the tree root zones around it. So there's a lot of intricacies around that area that we really had to fine tune with the city and to
So,
make sure that it's responding to what the context is of the program. You know, the stairs are sloped, and so we had to slope it in a particular way to make sure that that wasn't counted to this calculation. But
right. But that gave you the clearance over tree roots as well.
yeah,
Yeah, so you can see right there, that
Yeah,
corner lifted up off the ground. So our stairs are literally floating in air.
that's cool. That's cool.
I would say, this is a little bit less of maybe architectural feature, but it's something that you would probably not pick up on. And it also won't necessarily be displayed, I think, on the home store. But the front house, it was a pier and beam house. So it was, 18 inches
Mhm.
off the ground in the traditional sort of, East Austin way. And so we wanted to keep obviously that floor height the same, but we also wanted to lift the ceilings, in the interior spaces to sort of give reliefs. And so maybe we can show
Yeah.
front house here. You can see, right, we're kind of
Yeah.
getting rid of space, right, because we're trying to elevate the ceilings. And so that wouldn't have left us with much attic space at all. And so what we did, we dug out a 4-foot basement, which is a totally sealed environment. And so there's a hatch door in the master bedroom closet underneath a rug, which gives us the entire footprint of the house, 800 square feet by 4 feet tall of conditioned storage underneath the house. And so, as you look around the house, you'll see that it looks like a concrete or sort of stucco facade underneath the wood siding. But it's actually a sealed space that goes, another 3.5 feet down to the ground.
Yeah. Wow. Well, so that is not, just to be very, very clear, that is not an invitation to go and find the hatch in the closet and go and look in the
very
storage.
much off.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to find anybody 3 weeks later locked in the basement. But how cool. Yeah, these kind of things are like really interesting as to problem solving and creating those things for that extra storage. Yeah, that's awesome. It's a beautiful job. And I'm really looking forward to being on the tour and, being able to come in and discover it the way you've said about it, like that whole thing. So if you didn't watch this on YouTube, if you've got time to watch it on YouTube, do that before you go and see the bit of genius that these guys have put together and how they've brought their family community together to live. I think it's fabulous. Thanks so much, guys. It's been
Thank you
brilliant.
so much. Yeah, we appreciate your time.
Oh, absolutely. My pleasure. See you on tour. So I hope you've really enjoyed that. And if you'd like to stick around for about another 5 or 10 minutes, you can hear what Rob Gomez, the photographer who took the photos of all these homes, has to say about this particular home. And he's joined by Ingrid Spencer, the director of the AIA Austin, and their comments are really fascinating how they viewed these homes, much like the public would. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed. Take care. The Govalle House and Homestead is like a really special space. Like Ingrid, please, this again, take us through why is this home on the tour? What was so meaningful about it that it made it to this select small group of homes?
Absolutely, Adrian. Up for the tour, we try to show a range of ways to live. And this house was incredibly special because not only is the builder the owner of the home, but it's a multi-generational house. So the front house is the grandparents live there. And then in the back, which is really the main house, so it's like the ADU is in front and the main house is in back. And so the owner and his wife and their children live in the back, and they share this courtyard. And they just told a story that really was very heartwarming about how the kids wake up and they run across to their grandparents' dwelling and like bang on the door till they let them in the morning. So it's like living with their parents, but not really. And also having the built-in babysitters.
But not really.
But not really, yeah. And it's just a beautiful house. So this was designed by Russ Design Studio with Drophouse. And Drophouse, one of the owners of Drophouse, lives here. And Mari Russ worked with them on this house. So Drophouse is very well known for their metal work and their fabrication. And all that is here in this house. Like you can really see it in the staircases and just, the facades and all of the things. So it's a really, there's detail in the house. It's also, what an interesting way to design a home in a urban infill neighborhood. So having the smaller home in the front, it just blends into the neighborhood. You can't even tell that it's kind of like a compound. It's really a wonderful way to live.
And so on the tour, are we going to see which pieces?
All of it.
All three.
All of it. Mm-hmm.
Oh, fantastic. That's so exciting.
Yeah.
To see, this blend. And as you say, Drophouse, very well known for their steel work, like masters of it. And so this looks really exciting. Really, really exciting. How many bedrooms is happening in it?
That's a good question. I have to look
I
that
think
up.
three. I
Right.
think three in the main house, and then I think that the ADU was one. I think it's just the grandparents,
One room.
their one bedroom, yeah, and then
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Wow.
think that's right.
they have main bedroom and then two kids' rooms, yeah.
How cool. How cool. What a fabulous house to photograph. Or it's beyond that because it's a compound, isn't it? Really. It's
Yeah. Yeah, this was a real fun one. It's very similar to sort of the story in terms of with the last one of like very family centered and everything. And this one as well, I got to work with Mari. She's from the owner and principal of Russ Design Studio, and she was there kind of helping me along the way. But Matt, the owner, was also there, kind of being very helpful with everything. And this, I kind of picked this first one because we felt this was like the sort of quintessential photo that told the story of this home. You have like the courtyard splitting these two houses, but sort of like bringing them in together as well into one whole space. And similar to the last one, I had the kids and Matt's wife were with the grandparents most of the day, but later in the evening they came back home, and so I got to see sort of how everyone interacts, how they kind of use the space, a lot of moving around. They would run to the grandparents' house while I was shooting the main house. They were on a big Aladdin kick, so there was a lot of watching that movie going on. And yeah, just sort of seeing them really use the space how they intended was a real special sort of like, I guess, way to live, which was very, very neat to see. Like Ingrid was saying, I mean, truly seeing the kids really love spending time with their grandparents and kind of being over there all the time was really cool.
So, Ingrid and Rob, do you think this is a trend where we're getting more of this? I mean, this is like go backwards 100 years, and
Yeah.
we had this sort of more family communal living. And do you see it like happening in architecture in Austin more as a trend?
Absolutely. It's a trend. And it's also something that our city council made available for people to utilize on their lots.
Mhm.
So upcoming, you can put 3 units on one lot. So I think this multi-generational living is going to become more prominent.
It's pretty
Um,
special, isn't it, when you can have,
yeah.
like the as you say, this multi-generational of a family and
Mhm.
hold that family unit together where the last, I think, probably 60 years, probably from the, post-war years on, it's been no, we're all having our own castle, um, not our own family castle, and this is like the broken up family castle that lets each part of the family be its own thing, but then has one common hold together. And it takes council, it takes, municipal bodies to actually allow this kind of development to happen. And then it takes the
Yeah,
vision of the architects and the families to go, we can do this. This could be us.
that's right. Yes, and Adrian, 5 of the 10 houses on the tour this year have accessory dwelling units, or one of them is an accessory dwelling unit,
Yeah,
but
wow.
as its own house.
That's so
So
cool. That's so
yeah,
cool. Rob, what else have you got in photos for us?
So the next two are just sort of again showing the
Ah,
intentionality sort of to light in a space again here with the sort of kids playroom area. This is in the main house, second floor, sort of just as you go up the stairs, you have this separate, fun little kids room, and then off to the end there on the left is their actual bedrooms. But yeah, I just loved how set up they had it for that for their kids, and just kind of to
yeah.
really utilize that space, and also be mindful of like the light and everything, and how it all ties together with that.
I love this photo. I love the light, this thing about spilling light and cross light and how it engages you, visually first and as a viewpoint, obviously a piece of art and where there's that space. As we get more communal type living, I suppose people need more of their own, I'm going to call it nooks or intimate spaces. And, something like this, I can imagine kids hanging either in the chairs or on the floor, and even a parent hanging in there. That whole kind of feel. And the fact that you've got that light spilling in from the top as well as the side really shifts your circadian rhythms, and you're living with nature as opposed to hidden from it. It's beautiful.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for light for me just kind of makes me always want to be in that space, when it all looks
Yeah.
a certain way, kind of invites me in, I guess, to want to hang out there more.
Mm.
yeah. And I must say that's one of the reasons we're so excited to have Rob as our photographer this year, because he finds the best light and captures it in the photographs. They're just beautiful.
Yeah. What else have you got, Rob, on this one?
Last one is just this sort of fun
Oh,
pink bathroom that
Mhm.
is actually it's in the ADU, so it's the grandparents' bathroom, which I don't know how much this, I didn't ask Mari directly if sort of grandma wanted this very, very cool, very fun thing, or if it was sort of a collaboration. But I just loved, again, how this was, I think, maybe the first shot I got, just because it's one of those, you walk in, morning light looks this way, won't look that way later in the day. So it was a good one to start out with. I always try to have this when I start out a shoot, like get one photo you're happy with, and then kind of go from there and carry that forward. So it's always nice when they just kind of present themselves. This was just, we were doing the quick tour to see where to start, and I just kind of saw this one and started there.
It's fabulous. I something I find is that a lot of older clients, they go, we've experienced this in our lives, as in houses or spaces or renovations or whatever. And they're so brave and open to experiencing something new and fresh again. They don't want the old stuff they've had before. They go, I don't want to hang on to my past. I'm living for my future at this point. So take me on, take me on the journey, take me on a ride. And this epitomizes it to me. It's modern, but it's fun. It's got so much light and texture. The tiles, the gloss tiles, but then they've got all the handmade colors through them. It's gorgeous.
Don't you love those windows that meet up at a corner?
Frank
And I
Lloyd
think
Wright.
another trend we're seeing is a lot of ADA accessible bathrooms.
Yeah.
With showers that without a curb.
This is again another good living trend that we're seeing, this whole thing, as you say. So you called it ADA accessible. We have a livable in Australia, a livable home code that we have to make things certain sizes and give us circulation and be able to do this as well. And I really see that in this. It's like, yeah, it means that it's always accessible. It's great. Really cool. What a neat home. Thank you for tuning into our conversation. I hope it left you both informed and inspired. Don't forget to subscribe wherever you listen. And please don't hesitate to share your design thoughts with me. It's always a joy to hear from you. If you're like me and crave a deeper dive into design thinking, coupled with a love for travel and adventure, consider one of my architectural adventures. Join me and some of my wonderful design friends and embark on a journey of a lifetime. Apply for an unforgettable design experience at adrianramsey.com. With our clients spanning the globe, I firmly believe behind every great project are great people. If you're a great person and seeking to turn your dream into a reality, I'd be honored to design your home with you. Why not join the ranks of our exceptional clients and let's make your heart sing? Reach out to me at studio@ardesignhouse.com. That's studio@ardesignhouse.com, and let's get a conversation going and make your heart sing.